You got to step outside that box. Yeah. But that's all because of like the system has
But
kind
you're
of
not
like,
comfortable. That's the part that I don't get is people live inside that box, but they're uncomfortable inside that box, but they won't be themselves. Everybody's worried about people. Oh, they'll judge me. They'll stay away from me. They'll this and that. How many people are really around you now? Didn't they judge you and move away from you anyway, even when you tried to conform to their shit?
yeah. Yep.
Everybody's afraid to be themselves. I can't say everybody. The majority of people are afraid to be themselves. They all want to fit into that perfect image that society's got painted, and none of them fit it because it's an impossible image.
So when you talk about these things that would became religion, and then you break it down from a spiritual aspect, one thing I understand about spirit is it does not only focus on the like the hocus pocus of it all, but it also involves health, the body, being sound, what they call holistically, mind, body, soul, everything. That's what I would
All right.
say that spirituality is, because if you actually go into Asian spirituality, African spirituality, also Native American, like the Indians and different people like that, their spirituality also encompass healing practices.
Okay, let me throw you a loop on this one. Okay, right. So they tell you have to eat X, Y, and Z in order to cleanse your body, and then you have to stay on this. Everybody right now is on the vegan kick. Okay, so explain the Buddhist monks.
What do they eat? Nothing.
All kinds of fucking animals. Everything that fucking Chinese people eat. They don't stop eating what everybody else is eating, but somehow you're going to try to convince me that I have to eat a specific thing to be a specific way. It's intent, it's ideology, it's the things that you think. Once you realize, see, this is the thing, right? Duality is a training tool. The Hermetic principles, training tool. Learning to eat correct, training tool. Learning what to drink, training tool. Learning how to breathe, training tool. Learning how to think. Most people are worried about spells, right? Casting spells with the words that they say. Oh, grand rising. Oh, hi instead of hello, and da, 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 da. Okay, well, guess what? You're still performing the same fuck shit. If you're the creator in the flesh and everything revolves around you, why do you have to change things in order for you to be better? What do you need crystals for? Your energy. All you do is cycle and recycle energy all the time. What do you need a crystal for? You don't know how to control that? See, it's all these ideas that everybody's teaching everybody. Why do you think it's unlocking the kingdom?
Right.
All of these things that you're talking about are physical representations to prepare your mind mentally to be in control. Each one of them leads you to a different step. Each one of them leads you to a different way to understand things. But once you truly understand things, you don't need to do any of those things.
You know what's the crazy part of it? I got initiated as a priest in Nephi, right? And you know what happened once I got my initiation?
Hmm.
You know what they told me? The secret of it all is
Wow.
that you already knew it, you just didn't listen. Everything that you've ever been through in your life, you were told, you just didn't listen. And then and so even initiation is a certain level of a training. Like, okay, you go through this whole thing and it makes you kind of hyper focus on certain like thing and change your mind, almost like when you go into basic training, right? And at the end of the basic training, you find out that all everything, because you look at, because I was in the military, right? You look at this TI as he is like this evil, like mean person everybody should be afraid of. But then toward the end, he reveals himself to be just a regular person that actually is actually a cool guy. Same thing happens with these initiations, all these different like schools of thought, is that even when you talk about crystals, up until a certain point, you need to use the crystals until you learn how to channel that energy yourself.
Well,
But crystals can't help though, I ain't gonna lie.
this is the thing, right? All the things that you're taught to use to get you to the point to where you accept who you truly are things that are stepping stones to get you there. But once you realize that the only thing that makes those things work in the first place is your intent going into it, and the idea going into it from you itself is the very thing that then becomes the trap that stops you from using it properly. Because if you're God in the flesh, why the fuck are you conforming to what other men are telling you is what it is? And how do you have control if you're listening to what everybody's telling you is necessary to do this and that? That's you making it so that you have to do this and that in order to be who you are. That's not you being you. Just think about that for a second. If I tell you, okay, if you really want to be spiritual and you want to unlock your powers and you want to this and you want to that, you have to hold this cap in your hand every single day. Right? How long are you going to hold that cap in your hand every single day to get to being who you are before you realize who you are, so that means that you don't need that cap anymore? If you're the thing that is the main source of the energy that's controlling this, that all the energies flow through, why do you need something else to control your own energy if that's also a part of you? Gimmicks. Tools, physical tools to help you realize mentally.
Well, isn't that what they kind of do in martial arts? They start you off to like to give you tools initially, and then you eventually used to learn how to work without those tools. I mean, with anything, even when you're like skating, right? If you want to learn how to skate, they start off with training skates, and then they eventually take the trainers off, and next thing you're skating. And then if you want to move the next level, you'd be rollerblading and ice skating.
Okay, so how long are you going to tell yourself that you need crystals to control energy before you realize that you're the energy that's being controlled by the crystal? You're a part of the same energy that makes this wall, that makes that pillow, that makes this phone, that makes this tablet, that makes this thing, and makes this thing and this thing, and all that same energy is floating around you because that's all a part of you. Why do you need something to conduct it? Why do you think that you need a specific thing to eat in order for you to receive it? Why do you think that you have to train your body a specific way in order for you to be a part of yourself? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At a certain point, you reach a level to where you just understand that that's just you in all kinds of different forms. You're a part of all of this. So how is it that you don't control the energy that you take in? It's all yours in the first place. But see, you've got all these gurus out here. You got all these gurus out here that take you the furthest away from reality that you can possibly get. Because what do they tell you about in the Hermetic principles? The true Hermetic learns to read between the lines. What's between the lines? Nothing. There's nothing there. Why? Because everything's between the lines. So why do you have to conform to what people tell you is necessary to do the things that you do naturally? Let me show you something. All right, right? So one of the things that they tell you is that you have to learn how to love everything. Right? You have to learn to find love. The problem with that statement is the fact that everything is love. There's nothing but love. Love comes in a plethora of forms that people ignore. This is the maxims of human existence. Okay? You go through this wheel every single day. Every single part of this wheel you go through on a day-to-day basis. There's nothing that you do that escapes this every single day. Okay? This is applicable to your life. This is applicable to your relationships. This is applicable to any object that you have around your house. It doesn't matter what it is. This chart, this little simple chart right here is everything. There's nothing outside of this. Look, right? We'll use a relationship to start with, okay? When you first meet somebody that you like, you feel joy. Right? The moment that you feel that joy and you actually go and talk to them, you feel like you won a little bit, right? When they agree that you're yours, you automatically feel successful, right? And then after you feel successful, right, you start to feel a little more free in life because now you found that piece that was missing, right? Now that makes your day become a little bit lighter, right? Which means that, you know, your body feels lighter. You get what I'm saying? When you're happy about stuff, right? So then that makes your day seem a little bit brighter. Everything's all nice and fucking fancy and that because you're in love. Oh, you're in love, right? So you start to feel a little bit more alive about everything, right? And because you feel alive about everything, everything starts to seem like it's brand new again because you found that new love, right? So now you start to feel real secure, right? But when you start to feel that level of security, you automatically start to get a little bit pissed off. Why you get pissed off? Because, well, the problem is when you start to feel that, you also start to have that loss build up in your back of your head. Oh, what if I do something did I do something that's going to upset them? Like, what am I okay? Like you start checking yourself, right? And then from that, you start to feel like you fail a little bit. Why? Because anything that you love, you're always going to try to improve on in some way, which makes it so that you have to fail in order to be able to be in love with something. You can't love something and not fail it continuously because you're always trying to improve yourself or the things that are around you, right? So love then becomes a trap, right? Because now you're burdened by that same thing that you love so much, which becomes a heavy weight on your shoulders, right? And that heavy weight that's on your shoulders makes you feel a little dead inside because you feel like there's pieces of you that are missing, right? So then you start to feel like time's moving a little bit slower. And then after time starts to move a little bit slower, you start to feel that vulnerability because, man, everything just, you can't ever seem to get it right, right? So this is the thing. The love that you feel for something gives you joy, but automatically it's going to piss you off because you're going to be worried about it. And it's going to make you feel like you won when you get to it, but it's also going to make you feel like you're losing because you're going to lose part of yourself first off, and then you're actually going to have to worry about losing that thing. So that success that you feel off of being able to go out with them also becomes an automatic failure that you're always going to experience. And so that freedom that you felt automatically becomes the trap. I know you've been in relationships where you feel like you're trapped by the relationships. You're like, oh, I love them, but I just can't leave them and I can't be around them and I can't, right? So that lightness that you feel becomes a little bit heavy. And that brightness that you feel begins to make your day a little bit darker. So that alive feeling that you had then starts to turn into something that feels like it's killing you, right? So that security that you had then becomes something that makes you feel vulnerable. But you're told that love is joy, win, success, freedom, light, bright, alive, new, and secure. They try to convince you that when the person that you love starts to piss you off, that it's because they don't love you. The person that you love that you feel like you're losing, you feel like you're losing them because they don't love you. The person that you love that's making you feel like a failure is because they hate you, right? Because like they teach you that half of this is hatred and half of this is bad, but you can't experience the rest of these without these to go along with it. The thing is that all of these things are affected by the way that you think. You're the one that starts to get angry about the things that they do, comparing it to things that they don't do. You're the one that starts to feel lost, like you're losing yourself because of how much you love them. You're the one that starts to feel the failure. You're the one that starts to feel the trap. You're the one that starts to feel heavy and dark and dead and old and vulnerable. You're the one that starts going through all these emotions, and you'll leave them for this, right? Because you'll feel like they don't fucking match up to what you thought that they were going to be. But let me ask you something, right? You got a car, right? You got a car. You might have a house. You got something that you love, right? Now, In your mind, if you wanted to right now, when you had that car, you could have a dream right now of taking that car and driving it over a fucking mountain, flying off into the sky, into outer space, and driving it around the moon and then coming back, right? Now, tomorrow, after you've had that dream, you're going to go out to that car, and you're still going to love that car, and you're still going to drive that car to where you need to go, and you're still going to enjoy having that car. You're not going to get rid of that car for the things that you've made up in your mind as to what that car should be able to do, but everybody's leaving their partners because of those same things that they experience with their partners, because your partner's never going to be better than the one that you made up in your head, right? But you compare your partner to all those things, and those things that are in your head are what make you mad at your partner. Oh, the same things. That's why people date people, and the same things that they used to love about that person become the things that annoy them about them. And they'll end up breaking up their relationship and leaving them because they think that they must hate them, right? I must hate you if you piss me off so much. I must hate you if I feel lost when I'm around you. I must hate you if I feel like a failure because I always want to do better for you. I must hate you if motherfucking you're making me feel trapped. But there's nothing about love that doesn't include these things. As a matter of fact, the more that somebody gets under your skin, the more you love them. The more you worry about losing them is because you love them so much. The more you're worried about failing them is because you love them so much. The trappedness is because you love them so much. The heaviness and the darkness and the deadness. But then instead we take these things out on our partners. Right?
Wow. So now I see why you said that yin yang doesn't exist, because it's really all a part of one thing.
One thing. There is no hate. There's really no hate.
It's fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's fear. And they said there's only two emotions, love and fear. That's what they said. There's only two emotions, love and fear.
No, because fear is a part of love.
Because everything that you said there, everything that's on that left-hand side is based on fear. It's your
everything on that left-hand side is another form of love. It only exists because you love that thing.
Yeah, because if you didn't love it, you wouldn't be afraid of losing it. You wouldn't be afraid or sad or wondering this, that, the other. And so instead of us understanding where that's coming from, that is really based out of love, then we
live in a world of love, but yet for some reason everybody's taught that all of this stuff is hatred. You go through this every single day, a million times a day, with a million different things a day, but there's only one that suffers because of it.
It's you.
And guess what?
And you know what? I get afraid of losing my kids. You know, I'm a mother, right? So I'll be afraid. My daughter I'm afraid to like let her do this and this and the other, but I don't like.
Would you get rid of your kids because of that?
No. I don't discard my children, so why do we discard our spouses because of that? Those same emotions. That's a wow.
People don't recognize heaven. Heaven's all around them, and they don't recognize it. Everybody's out here searching for love. What part of your life don't you love?
And you know what? And so people get so caught up in the dogma of what they believe. Like I had a person that was in the audience that left because, well, he said about this and about Christianity. I'm out. It's like, well, you're missing a good point where he's breaking things down. A very good point that he's making. And I'm sad this guy missed that. He didn't get to see what you just broke down, because really, I mean, now it makes sense. Everything.
He'll be back. He doesn't have a choice to. He's just Christian, so he has to get away because his mind's all frazzled. I showed you why his mind's frazzled. I told you that Christians are stuck in a little bubble because of the things that they're engaging in on a regular basis. They can't help it. But they'll keep coming back. I know they keep coming back. I've had over 2 million followers on fucking TikTok, and trust me, a lot of them were religious people that couldn't stop coming back.
You know what? It's the biggest thing is that okay, when you said okay, when people get into these places, they get sick because they're getting a dual message, and that these places are probably some of the sickest people get sickest the most, right? But if you actually look at other these belief systems, I would believe when I hear about the Christian church, I do see a lot of sick and shut in all the time. And all you said was that
rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
So,
that's what I'm saying. I rebuke you.
Even though that those parents might be that live to be 95 might not have they might not have experienced the same thing. There is some truth to what's being said when it comes down to the message that's being taught. Singing about happy and love, but then you're talking about, and then he died on the cross, and that's a contradiction. About 1 minute we're talking about redemption and love and this, that, the other, and the next minute we're talking about death and destruction.
Imagine how traumatized you would be if you saw what you considered to be your God crucified every single fucking weekend. Just wrap your mind around that for a moment. If every time that you go into the place of your worship, which is warring against the temple, warring the ship, the vessel, the ship, the body. Okay, you walk inside of a building, even though if you read the Bible, it tells you God doesn't dwell in a house built by hands. But you're going to go inside of the same place that your Jesus tore down and then look at him hung, strung up. If your best friend died, would you want to walk and look at your best friend every single weekend in the way that they died?
No. Or they keep talking about it every weekend.
Every weekend?
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday, bare minimum.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what the sermon always is, and then they strung up on the thing and in the blood and
drink his blood and eat his flesh. Here you go. This is your savior. Drink his blood and eat his flesh. You're not a cannibal, though. You're not performing rituals and witchcraft, seances, taking on spirits, and walking around with anointed oils, that's witchcraft.
But really, what is witchcraft?
Soup.
What really is witchcraft? Because I mean, they would say some of the practices that I do in my belief, would be considered witchcraft. However, it's actually meant to heal people, right? These are things.
Who do you know that doesn't put spices in their food?
Nobody.
Okay, doesn't witchcraft require you to cook something, change the temperature and the structure of something, and add in different types of elements in order to alter it?
Yeah.
So who doesn't do witchcraft? Everybody does. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, if you've got some vegetables and a thing, and you're throwing in some sage, a little bit of thyme, and all those things are the same thing we use in our rituals. We might make a tea out of it and drink it, but
They have anointing oils in the church that's olive oil with rosemary and like a couple different herbs in it. It's witchcraft. But you're evil for it. Now go home and eat your soup.
So one thing I wanted to get into I want to get back into sound resonance, because there's this whole thing, this Opus sound bed. Have you ever heard of this? The Opus sound bed?
Yeah.
It's a bed that you sit down on and it's supposed to like resonate, like, sir. Because I was going to get this whole thing, but I'm afraid to get it because it's like $2,000. But it's supposed to resonate.
That's something you can get for like $1,200.
Yeah,
I got one.
It's a sound bed that you can sit on, and it's supposed to like heal your body. And I've heard, like, even in China, there was like a person that like actually was had a tumor, and they were using this sound, and this sound frequency was actually, it was in, I think, Korea or China. I'm not sure if you saw the video where they kept saying it is done, it is done, it is done in their language, and there was a sound like whatever this machine.
They were chanting at the right frequencies.
Yeah, and they kept saying it is done. And so even in China, they have holistic clinics. They do a whole blood panel, and they give you certain herbs, and you'd be surprised. Like even when they like, you have to go through. It's like going to the hospital, you know.
Yeah.
And so here in America, we have gotten away from the holistic aspect of life and utilizing sound frequencies. Can we get into that, like for healing, how to heal ourselves with these frequencies and how to use what would one do? Parasites. Because let me tell you something. Lately, I don't know, my timeline has been filled with stuff about parasites, and I know it must be me sending out a frequency. Maybe I have a lot of parasites, and so therefore I'm seeing a lot of stuff about parasites. But even
first we gotta explain parasites. Parasites is your body's defense to all the toxic shit that you're consuming. It's not that you consume things that have parasites in them. It's the opposite. Parasites are what your body creates. That's why they're your parasites. Your body creates that to consume the things that it can't get rid of. But you can control your body a lot more than you think that you can. I know this because I've tested some things that most people would think was fucking nuts. And it worked.
So people say like that if you eat sushi, right? That those specific fish have certain level of parasites within them. And when you ingest those things that there's different
you have acid in your stomach that absorbs everything. What's going to survive in that?
You know what? Good point. So is all that stuff like scare tactic stuff that people are using to sell ivermectin and all these different like things?
Well, no, your body definitely, your body does have parasites, but the parasites are made by your body. That's why it can survive in your body.
So how does your body create? Okay, because they said that even cancer is parasites. What happens is that a certain organ, and then the parasites begin to grow in that place, and then when you have a tumor, it is an encasement around the parasite that your body creates to stop the parasites from going further. And then when you get chemotherapy or different things like this, the reason why cancer spreads is because you unleash those parasites that were being encapsulated, and now they spread throughout the body. Same thing with mammograms. Like they say that when you get a mammogram, you have this heavy thing pushing your boob down, and if you do have any kind of cancer within that tumor, it could mess with that tumor and then unleash the parasites, and the next thing you know, you got cancer and this, that, the other, all throughout your system. So how
cancer is your body trapping the poison. Cancer is your body's natural defense to an overload of toxins. The cancer itself is your body trapping those toxins so that they're not, because you have too much of it. That's why people can fast and cleanse and get rid of it, because you're no longer putting it into your system. You got to realize that what they do when they do your mammogram is they rupture the cancer cell. The cancer cells are dead cells that are fucked up because you have toxins in your body, and they're being collected in a specific place so that they don't spread everywhere. And then you go and get that mammogram, and it smashes it and it ruptures it, and now it spreads everywhere. Now it's in your bloodstream. Now it's everywhere that it was being held at. Cancer is not a bad thing. Cancer is your body's defense to the fucked up stuff that you put into it. Now, the thing is that you can get rid of all that shit with sun gazing. Literally, you can burn fat with sun gazing. You can restore the elasticity to your skin through sun gazing. You can motherfucking you can restore brain function through sun gazing. You can burn out your sun gazing activates the autophagy that people fast to get. That's the main benefit of the fasting, is your body's ability to activate the autophagy from not using that energy everywhere else. Well, if you're sun gazing, you're putting energy directly into your endocrine system. Look, these are all the benefits of sun gazing. Dopamine is what calms you down. Serotonin and endorphins and melatonin are what makes your brain function properly. Right? ATP is the thing that restores your youthfulness to your skin. Okay. The hormesis, what the fuck was the hormesis? I forget what the hormesis does, right? But your autophagy, see right there, autophagy, right? That's the thing that eats all of the cancerous and all of the bad cells and fucking takes all the toxins out of your body, is the autophagy. That's what people fast to get. That's what they fast to activate, right? The NAD plus, it'll cost you fucking $60-$70 to get a bottle of NAD plus. That's
I have it. I have that. I have the NAD. I paid $60.
You could have got it for free. You could have got it for free and felt good and been burning fat and been destroying everything toxic in your body and motherfucking restoring your levels to the proper circadian rhythm. And you could have been motherfucking feeling younger, and you would have felt a lot calmer, and your mind would have started functioning better. Why? Because you're feeding your fucking endocrine system directly with direct energy. That's all that it is. It's your endocrine system that's being activated. That's your RAM, your goat. See your RAM right there?
Yeah, that's crazy. So the body, even so, all these things they must have did, like some Egyptians or whoever these people were must have like just dissected human bodies and noticed that, hey, oh, this looks like a goat, this looks like a this, and in those universes.
If I draw it out for you, if I had my pen, I don't know what I did with my eye pens. I don't know where they went, but. But I can literally show you the magnetism of the body that created all of these things. I know how the whole entire body was constructed, inside and out, all the organs, all of the everything, all by magnetism. So,
was it sound that did this? Because even when they talk about the Indian pyramids, not the Indian structures, they say that when you actually look at them, that looks like almost like the same way that those water droplets look that you showed. That when you play water, when you have water at a certain frequency, it makes those kind of like looking. Have you seen the Indian buildings? How they look a certain way? But it's like, how did they make this? Right?
Yeah.
And
it's all sacred geometry.
But do you think that was made by water, sound, and some kind of like sound vibration?
Well, this is the thing: is when you're able to manipulate energy. It doesn't matter what the thing is that you're manipulating. If you're operating within the confines of nature, you can conform anything to any shape that you want it to. You just have to know the frequency that's going to make it go from a solid to a liquid so that it takes that next form. Think about it. I can show you videos of people that will take a cone and tap, like you could take a drum, right? You can try this, right? If you get a drum and you put a rock underneath of the drum and you start tapping the drum from the top, and the drum has no bass to it, the energy from the drum is going to pump down into the base surface, and whatever's sitting on top of that base surface is going to levitate into the drum. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as the drum has a large enough size in comparison to the size of the thing that you put under it. It's just energy manipulation. Now, as far as the rocks go, I forget what plant it is, but there's a plant. This is how most of the shit out in this is how they were carving into rocks. It's not that they were carving into it. There's a plant that you can go and find out in Mexico. There's birds that that reshaped rocks out in Mexico. I forget what kind of bird it is, right? But what they do is they go and grab this plant, right? And they take the plant and they rub it on the stone, and then the stone turns to a rubbery. It becomes moldable, right? And so when people observe that taking place, they took that same plant and in mass and started doing that to the blocks, which made it so that they could stamp and imprint the blocks however they wanted to imprint it. So this is how you have those images that are pushed into the blocks. Now, if you take that a step further, and you include instruments that emit specific vibrations, the same way that you can speak into water and have it create a formation is the same way that you could do that with a rock. If you know the right frequency, it'll separate the structure, because the energy is only held together by a specific frequency. And so if you're able to hit that same frequency, it'll almost cancel it out. Not that it'll disappear, but it'll break the structuring of it all together. And so if you're able to hit that frequency, that's when, like, okay, perfect example, right? If you put a bunch of sand on a soundboard and you play notes onto that soundboard, the sand starts to take physical forms.
Right.
So if you do that with sands at a high enough temperature, what do you form? Glass in those structures. Sand overheated turns into glass. So if you apply that principle, imagine having a giant sound plate and you're playing with the sand as you're heating it up. And it's taking these sacred geometry shapes as it's being heated up. When you stop, when it's moving in that formation, that's also generating its own energy at that time. It's structuring itself to that energy. So if you're heating it up while you're doing that, and then you cut the heat, it's glass in that last position that it was at. Now you have something that's created completely in a perfect symmetrical, sacred geometrical shape that went from being sand to a glass. All that requires it is not the heating, it's the amount of energy that's going into it. So if you have the ability to do that with large rocks and things, now you have a building.
Right. Wow.
It's just basic laws of nature.
And you know what's so funny? Here, I'm gonna ask this question. Okay, so microwaves and air fryers, right? I know I'm jumping around, right? So we cook our food in microwaves. So the sound, so microwaves are cooking your food with sound, heating it up.
But it's not a good cook, because it's in immense amounts. It's not a controlled. There's no control to it. You're basically burning the fucking shit from the inside out without physically burning it. Although if you leave it in there long enough, it'll burn the fuck out of everything. But you're basically cooking everything out of it, because it's a massive magnitude of energy being poured into it all at once. And it's unhealthy because it burns it from the inside out, from the source to the outside. Right? This is why you can put something cold in there and like a portion of it will be fucking warm and hot and fucking turn into rubber while the rest of it is still cold. Like if you leave anything in a microwave long enough, everything becomes like a block of rubber. Either that or it completely dissolves.
Right. But I think that is a great science experiment on sound and how sound frequency can do that. How it can change the actual.
You can take apart a microwave and you can create a coil out of it that will disrupt. The thing about the microwave is that it's not natural energy. It doesn't have a natural flow to it. It's a disruptor. So what you're actually doing is,
so would the sound that comes from the microwave be similar to that sound that you see of hate in the water Like you know how you had the sound of love and good
Yes.
stuff.
Yes,
So is it-
that's exact. Like okay, right. If you took a microwave, if it was healthy, right? If you took a microwave right now and you open it up and you fix that button so that it thinks that the door is shut at all times, and you just turn that microwave on and you go and stick your arm in there, it's going to destroy your shit. You'll never recover from that ever. It's impossible because it rattles the fucking whole entire structure of the genetic coding altogether, and it's nuking it on a molecular level from the inside out. So it's killing it at the core and then working out even further. If you put something
I
living
want
in
to
a microwave, that
if
shit
you
will
put
explode.
water into a microwave and you're drinking that water, what would you say would be going on with that water that you're ingesting after doing that?
You killed it and you filled it full of fucking toxic energy. Think about it like this, right? When you drink water, you don't want to just drink water, okay? At the very least, you should swirl that shit, okay? If you don't do anything else, at least create a cyclone in your water, because what you're going to do is ionize it, and it's going to draw in air and oxygenate the water when you're doing this. That's why when you circle it and shit, you'll start to see the little bubbles come out of it and shit. You want to recreate a natural cycle. A natural cycle, water doesn't travel in anything but swirls. If you watch how a river gets created, none of them started straight. They all swirl. They all have depth that goes up and down in them. It's never just a flat surface. Anytime water hits a flat surface, it dies. You don't want to drink water. Look, you got to think about it like this. Water is a solvent. Water kills you. Perfect example, if you go sit in a bathtub long enough, what happens to you?
You get dehydrated?
No. Your skin starts to dissolve.
Oh yeah.
You sit in a bathtub long enough and you can cut your foot stepping on the ground. It'll split. You sit in a bathtub long enough and you bump your arm on something when you're getting out the bathtub and you'll get a cut in your shit. It'll split. That's because water is a solvent. Anything that you leave sitting in water over time, it just disappears. Almost nothing survives in water, but you're going to drink it?
Well, they say our body is made up of 90% water, so that's why we feel like. So the whole like thing of drinking water and
H3O2, structured water. You don't drink structured water. You only get living water through fruits. If you notice, fruit is always what? It's always sticky. It's always thick. It's never just water. It's never H2O that you get out of fruit. It's always structured water. That's living water. That's the only thing that you can drink. Drinking water, you have to do something to it. Put some salt in it so that it's conductive. Fucking put some tea in it so that it alters the structure of it. Talk into it. Tell good things. You've seen what happens when you talk to water. It changes the structure of water itself. You can build positive structures. This is what praying over food and shit's really about. People think they do it because they're this is the this is the funny thing, is like there's so many practices in these religious books that aren't religious that have to deal with sacred geometry and the restructuring of frequencies that people don't even realize. The Jewish people wear little fucking hats. They're always wearing one type of clothing. Why? Because one type of clothing creates a conductive force that's constantly flowing. When you cross threads, you're actually creating fucking shit like this. When you have like cotton and linen and cotton and silk and fucking polyester and all that other bullshit, you're creating breakage. You're creating breaks in the natural flow of energy. So all these people that are religious, they're doing all these practices and have no fucking clue why they actually do them. You pray over food because it's good intentions and good words, except for when people start saying things like, I pray that Timmy gets better and shit. You're now thinking of somebody being hurt while you're trying to make a good prayer. That's not healthy, because it's you're subconsciously beating that shit into the fucking shit that you're about to eat. When you're all locked together, you're creating a force. You're creating a resonance. And so You share those thoughts that you have because it's supposed to bring a sense of joy, which is now being channeled into the center point. When they pray, they do what? They all hold their hands and they put their head forward. Your head is now the fucking focal point of the energy that's pouring. So it's all getting poured into a center point. When energy pours into a center point, it goes in two directions, up and down. So what happens is there's a spread of energy that goes over the food that you're eating, and there's a spread of energy that's pouring over the top of the building that's creating a resonance field around the whole group, right? Now, they'll have you wear, in the Muslim and the Jewish thing, you know, they wear the hats, right? Why do they wear the hats? The hats are made out of the same thing as the rest of their body. The reason that they're wearing the hats is because your head is where the thoughts pour out from. Right? Originally, they used to come in from it because it was coming in towards the heart. Everything was going in towards the heart because that was the thing that formed the body itself. The mind itself came from the sperm. The sperm is nothing but the mind and the spinal column already put together. That's why this argument that a baby is able to be aborted is a fucking crock of shit, because it already had thoughts before it got into the body. That's why it was able to form a body in the first place. Because the magnetism that comes off of the sperm, if you ever study this, sperm actually has energy to it. That's because it's a form of energy in itself. And so the sperm is the head, that's the brain stem, and the nerve center, right? So that goes in and it bonds with the female's egg, which the egg has its own energy to it, but the sperm is now siphoning the energy from that to create the heart. The first thing that starts to be formed when the sperm is in there is the brain. It's taking the energy of the egg and putting it around the sperm itself and growing the brain. From that, you have your nervous center, the nerve center that gets created, and then the heart gets created. Once the heart gets created, then all of the organs and the bones start to get created, because the heart becomes the thing that all the energy that the brain is pulling in goes feeding into. It goes into the formation of the heart. If you ever notice, that's why the top of the brain is the last thing to get solid. Remember, they always tell you when you have a baby, the top of the skull is the most sensitive part of the baby. That's because that's where the energy is coming in from.
Right.
When they're young, they're still pulling that energy in, because as they're growing at that young age, the heart is still being developed. That's why the PFO valve closes.
Right.
Because once the PFO valve is closed, that's when the brain starts to solidify, when the skull starts to solidify, because now all of the energy is now being regulated by the heart. The heart doesn't put energy out. The heart draws the energy in. If you ever notice, your rib cage goes inwards towards your heart. And even the bottom of your rib cage goes up like this. Oh, sorry, shit. It goes up like this. It's going up towards the heart. The whole forming of your rib cage is all energy that's resonating in towards the heart, that's solidifying as it's coming in. Below that, right? So you got to think about it like this, right? So now that you have the energy that's pouring into the heart, it's also pouring out through the bottom. This is why your organs all twisty and turvy and shit that's below it. Is because it's the energy that's pouring outward this way, right? So all of your organs that are below the heart are what? Raveled up. They're all raveled up and stacked till you get to the next energy center, which is the reproductive organs. If you pay attention to your hips, the way that your hips are formed, it's this round shape that goes down like this, and it has that focal point in the center of it where everything's being focalized to, which is your sacral point, which is the bottom of your spinal column, right? And so if you look at the shape of the hips, that's a toroidal field. Everything around your reproductive organs is the flow of energy going into that area that's separate from the heart. This is why you have a brain up here, a brain here, and a brain down here.
And also, but they say that the actual intestinal system is your first brain, and it's actually made of the same thing as the actual brain, right? Your intestines.
Well, your intestines are dead organs. That's the only part of your body that doesn't generate energy. because they sit above the energy center. Okay, right? Think about it like this, right? Here, let me show you. All right, this is the spear ritual. All right,
Well,
now
you already had that open. That's crazy that you brought. You already had that open. Okay.
if you notice, right? So right here in this area, right, is this is a look. That's the same shape as your heart down here, and you see the toroidal field that's going into it right here. Sorry, right? That's a toroidal field. So
like it's almost like the ribs going backwards, like the
see the eights.
pelvis looks like a backward rib almost.
So look, you got to think about it like this, right? Okay, so up here, right now, this is the back of it. So it doesn't look right, but this is the back of it. Okay, so everything's wrapping around to the heart on this section, right? And then down here, everything's wrapping around to the heart down in this section, which is the reproductive system. So if energy is flowing, right, that means the shape of the hips follows this energy, right? It's going this way like this. It's like the number 8 this way, and then you have the number 8 this way on each side of these that's going in towards the heart on the front side, right? So you have energy that's pouring out in the bottom this way. It comes out like this. And then you have energy that's pouring out going this way. Now you understand why the organs are all wrapped up and stacked on top of each other. It's just energy.
Wow.
So the whole body's constructed this way, right? Look at this. Like this is the, hold on, where's it at? This one right here. Oh, this thing's dirty for me taking it to the construction site with me. I've been gutting out a house. All right, look, right?
There's so much to unpack, and I gotta bring you back too because this is so much good information. I gotta bring you back because we're gonna have to it's not enough to cover it. We were only here for 3 hours, but hey, we can keep going. But I'm like, bro, it's too much to cover. It's so many things and I'm so glad that you know all this stuff because it's very interesting to like get a person that actually studied this deep into that many things. But go ahead.
Oh, I'll have to get my pen for next time. I gotta find my pen so I can draw stuff out for you and show you in real time. But look, right? You see how that same system's happening here? You see the shape of the 8 on one side, the shape of the 8 on the other side, right? This is how your whole brain is functioning together. It's the same toroidal field.
Doesn't the throat have a similar thing in the throat, like the thyroid gland, and that whole thing have that same kind of toroidal, like 8, like?
Well, those are the product of the energy of the mind and the energy of the heart hitting a focal point. Because it's this energy that's round, like, okay, right? So you have the energy that's pouring up this way that goes around, right? Which is creating your thyroid because you have the energy from the top that's going down in this direction, right? And so when they run into each other at the focal point, it creates the, here, let me show you. I might have a picture I could show you with. Hold on a second. Let me go into the drawing stuff.
And then that throat chakra is where that is a thing that makes you be able to speak. So it's interesting how those things combine, meet at the center, and then vibration comes out through the mouth. I mean, we're talking about some interesting stuff, you guys. I hope that you guys are enjoying the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Listen, I'm so happy that Solomon came and to give us this information because I've had a lot of different people.
You're really gonna have me starting to call people Solomon. I'm about to ride with that so bad, yo. You about to make me ride that one out, yo. That's funny. I keep forgetting that I put that on that book. Nobody references me to that. Like, I don't mind it. Like, don't get it twisted. I don't mind it and shit. All right, so look, right, check this out. See this right here? Okay, right. Now this is your brain. All right, this is the same brain that you were looking at earlier. Now, hold on, I gotta see if this levels on here. Let me put this around it. That's how your apples are made. All of your fruit has this, because the apple is simply the toroidal field going around the seed, right? And then at the top where the energy is pouring out is where your stems and your plant and your
Wow.
stems and your flowers are
A
shaped.
lot of bug faces. Look like a bug face. Bugs look like that same way with the antennas
I'm
going up.
telling you, everything is based off of these simple concepts and things. It's not, nothing in this world is complex. It's all sacred geometry and it's all energy. And I can prove it, undoubtedly prove it about anything, about any object or anything. But check this out, right? This is something that I discovered, right? And I still haven't seen it being used by anybody yet. Let me see. Do I have it? Let's see if I have it any other way. This right here, if I can figure out how to use this correctly, I should be able to create shit out of thin air. Now, all this is magnetism, right? For the 4 different magnetisms, right? And then it's creating sound waves because this is. But if I go cut an apple open right now, I can show you this shape in an apple. I can show you this shape in a watermelon. I can show you the shape in a tomato. I can show you the shape in all the fruits. All the fruits have the same design to them, but nobody ever looks at it from this perspective. But let me see if I wonder if this pen will work. No, not this one, of course. All right, look. All right, here, let me see if I can do it like this. Like this. Like this. All right.
I just want to thank everybody while he's looking at it. I'm going to thank everybody for coming and being a part of the show tonight. We're dropping some heavy knowledge here and shouts out for this information.
Okay, look, right. You see this? Look, we're gonna go like this. Go like this. Okay. Now, first you have your pyramid. It goes like this, and comes here, and comes here. Right? So that makes your triangle or your trinity, right? Now, from this, right, you have energy that's pouring in this way and energy coming in this way. Okay. Now you're starting to see the lateral ventricles and the basal ganglia, the thalamus, the pituitary gland, your motherfucking this would turn it into the spinal column right here and going like this, because this is how your cerebellum looks. Right? And this is your brain, which is also the apple. Right? And
so you think that's also why they said that they ate the apple? Adam and Eve ate the apple?
Well, actually, it just said the fruit, which somebody changed into the apple later on in time, but that's not what they were talking about. And okay. Nor, like, the whole story is all fucked up over time. But Eve coming from the rib is the ribonucleic DNA strand. It's part of your DNA. The atoms that structure your DNA in your ribonucleic DNA is what the structuring of the DNA is after it comes together. So that's why she comes from the rib of man, because it's man's genetic coding. It's not man physically, if that makes any sense.
I get it. Yeah.
I really wish I could find my pins, yeah. I know I've got one around here somewhere. I really want to show you since I'm on here.
Yeah, go ahead. If you need to go ahead and look for it, I could play something.
This should have 2 of them in it. I think I'm going to have to let it sit for a minute. Yeah, this is going to have to sit for a minute. So let me throw this on a charger while we're talking, and we'll come back to it in a couple minutes. this charge up. Man, it's nice having this here. Wait a minute. So it's already fully charged. Oh, it is. Okay, good. All right, check this out. All right. Give me. Let me see. Let me get a brand new one for you. Get a screen size one. Go like that. Turn the background dark. Nice red background. Go back up to the first layer. Green pen. All right, right. So let me give you that first thing all over again. Hold on a second. That's too dark. My bad. Oh, didn't we do that? Hold on, because I got to flip the screen around. All right, I got this. I'm going to do the screen flip thing this time. Hold on. This will make it easier on me. So go to settings, camera, and then mirror, and then go to back camera. All right, right. Let me move this thing out of the way. I'm going to go like this. All right. So I'm going to give you the same pattern that I had a minute ago. Like this, like this. Now, all right, right. So they say that in the beginning there was the 1, right? And then the 1 splits to the 2. Right? So this would be your negative, your positive, and all that other that nonsense that they teach people about. Right. Now, this is the thing, right? So now we're talking about layers of energy. So you have 2 forces. You have one goes this way, and then you have the other one going this way. Right? Now, some people have seen this symbol before. I don't remember what it is, but there's like some pagan shit that deals with this symbol. Right? I don't remember exactly what it is because I don't care about their names. Now, this is the thing, right? Is like this, open another layer. Right? When you're dealing with magnetism, you have energy that is going this way. Right? And this is what starts to create different forms because you have the 1 and the 2 and the 3rd and the bottom point. Right? There's always a bottom point. Now, this is the thing, is you also have energy that goes this way. That's why you have like your firmaments and shit like that. And no, I'm not saying the world's round, and I'm definitely not saying it's flat either. Okay, but this is the thing, is you have different polarities, right? You have your negative and your positives. Okay, so due to these negatives and positives, you have these forces that are traveling at all times. Now, as they're traveling, they're hitting focal points. This would be your focal point. Right? This is that vortex that everybody's talking about, that everything has to go through. Right? This is also why the brain has that soft spot in the beginning. Okay. Now, that spiral then pours out at the bottom. So the thing is when energy is traveling this way, the energy that's furthest away is going to be brighter. So you're going to have water that surrounds everything. Right? Now, if you remember, the water goes deeper and deeper. Right? Because remember, water is a solvent. Water is something that energy is going into that hasn't had enough energy to create something physical yet. The reason that you have physical things like land masses, which all are going to be found closer to the center, but not quite touching it. The reason behind that is because there's so much energy in this area that is going to create more water because it's too much to take a physical form. but there's going to be land masses, and those land masses, because energy bounces, right? It's going to go like this, and then there's energy that's going to go like this. It's going to go in these different directions, right? Which is why you have your what? Your mountains and your valleys. Okay, this is exactly why the world's shaped the way that the world is. Okay, because the energy that's collected at the center is what is creating the physical land masses. The energy that's still pouring out on these outskirts is why you have your water surrounding everything. That's why the world's mostly water, right? And the thing that's funny about this is that this same thing is also the reason, we'll go with purple. If we follow these same things, actually, hold on, let me give you the sun and the moon first, right? So you have the sun over here, right? Now the sun follows a specific pattern. It's an 8 pattern that goes this way, like this. All right, if you ever watch how the sun actually rotates, it's on an 8. It's spinning on a different axis. The moon, however, is known as the Most High, okay, because the moon is up here. Now the moon is on this trajectory. It's going this way. That's why it ends up crossing the sun at a certain point. Okay. Now, if you've studied anything about biology, you also know that this is how cells are formed as well. Right. So the world is internal as much as it is external. Proof of that is the fact that this is your brain, which comes to this point. It's just following this trajectory of energy, right? Goes like this, right? And then the bottom of your brain, where your cerebellum's at, is the part where the energy's pouring out, which is why your cerebellum has, if you ever look at it, your cerebellum has all these little lines on it that follow that same magnetic charge. Okay, it goes out like this. Now, following the magnetism, you have what is known as your lateral ventricles, which are the ones that go up like this. They curve around like this, right? Still following that same charge. That's that ram that you see in that picture that I just showed you. Right? It goes out like this and then out like this. Right? So this is also the formation of your brain is the same thing as the world is. Now, at that focal point where the energy meets is where the beginning of your spinal column falls into play. That's that triangular shape that you see known as the pyramid, which is also the owl. You see, this is where your eyes are, right? The basal ganglia is in here inside the lateral ventricles. Now, the basal ganglia is a round thing, but it looks like this. It's got these little pieces on it that pull together like this. And like this, all right, because it's always following the magnetism. So below that, you'll have your brain stem, which is still following that same magnetism. Now, if we add the skin to it, right, this is the same spot where your actual eyes are. Right? Your nose comes down like this. Hold on, let me change the color of that. Right? Your nose comes down like this. You got your 2 nostrils, and then it comes to that point. Right? And then your mouth is down here. It's those energies that are running into each other. Everything follows this. The difference is when it comes to your head, right, the roundness here meets up with the roundness here, which gives you the shape of the ear, right? Your ear follows the same exact pattern. Now, literally, everything in existence follows the same magnetic energy as everything else, because when you go to the next layer, I can give you your heart next. which is shaped. Oops, sorry. It should be a bright color. Pink. Right? Your heart looks like this. Right? And inside your heart, it has those chambers that go like this. Your heart isn't exactly like a round shape. Okay, it's more in the shape of your ears, so to speak. Right? But it still follows that same exact pattern. But all you got to do is add the stems to it, and all of a sudden, your heart becomes the apple. Same way as your brain does and everything else. Literally, the world is you internally and externally. So understanding the flow of energy is the thing that teaches you how the world operates. Now, we can go up another layer. I know it's starting to look a little jumbled up, so let me just remove some of this so that it's a little more clear. It's starting to look a little crazy. Let me keep this one, and get rid of the face, and we'll move up to the next layer. And now you have, right? So your heart would be about here, right? And then you have the clavicle, right? That's following that same magnetism. Rib cage. Everything about your body is magnetism. There's no denying it whatsoever. It all comes together the same exact ways. It's all sacred geometry. So your rib cage is shaped like this, basically. And then below that, because remember, the energy is pouring out at the bottom. So what's happening? Down here at your hips, you also have the other magnetism of your body. And that's that butterfly shape. All right, where you got your little sacral down here. It goes up like this, and you got your little holes over here like this and like this, right? So that's because this has its own magnetic force to it. Right? So you have energy pushing up this way, and then you have energy pushing down this way, which is why your organs all start to shape in this way, because they're stacking the energies on top of each other. This is literally how all of your organs get formed.